Light 2020. I am your host, Gail Nicholson, and I'm so happy to see you again or once again today, however if you have it. We had a little bit of a technical glitch with our streaming software this morning. I thought I was going to have to reschedule everything, but Craige is here and ready to go, and I am so excited to introduce you to him. I met him just by happen chance on the internet this past couple of weeks before I moved everything from my old location to this one. And, if nothing else, this man's accent to the rest of us Americans is very intriguing. He comes to us from the Caribbean, and he is a success and mindset coach that really kind of cuts through the nonsense into what's really important. So let me introduce you to him now. Craige Hardel, success and mindset coach with CraigeHardel.com. How are you today? Thank you for being here.
It's an absolute pleasure to be on, and I'm doing quite well. And weather is great, so I'm really looking to have a very good session here today.
Fabulous, fabulous. So you're down in St. Lucia, huh?
Yes, I am.
And I've been talking to people all over the country. So, like Australia, they're in autumn and starting to light fires in the fireplace. You are in the summer months like we are. What's the temperature like down there?
Right now, it's pretty normal, close to 30 degrees, a little lower. And the weather is actually quite fine. Today, for example, it's quite sunny and not a complaint. Sun isn't too hot. I guess many people at the beach despite the pandemic, which we'll talk about. And I mean, on any other day, it'll be a fine day to go out and have fun. So,
Right, right. And I do want to clarify that it's 30 Celsius. People are not
yes.
running around on the beach at 30 Fahrenheit for sure. At least not the ones that I'm familiar with. So let's begin a little bit by kind of just checking in with you. What overall have you noticed is the most impactful thing that's hitting people with this coronavirus quarantine? I know that mental health is a big factor, but is that what you're seeing, and what aspect of that is being presented to you?
One of the main quandaries that personally I've noticed, and it's pretty observable actually, is the paroxysm of fear, of really just dis-ease among people globally, right? You have the news, and in the beginning of the episode, and it's kind of still ongoing, but in the beginning, is and hitting record numbers, and most people didn't know how to react. So while most people, in terms of initial savings, in terms of just the initial well-being, were okay, that really unease really began to boil up, and you find people segregated in those who watch the news and are just depressed by it, and those who just cancel and don't watch it at all. And it's interesting because things were unprecedented despite it really beginning to slowly calm down, various countries beginning to reopen, thankfully. But this paroxysm of just fear and heightened sense of panic, you know a year ago, no one would have predicted that we would live in a time where almost the entire world will be at a standstill. Sports organizations, sports leagues, movies, Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere at a standstill. That would blow everyone's minds. Yet it's the time that we're living in. So the shock of this, combined with just the innate fear that's enlivened with such gruesome sightings and even people around you. I spoke to someone recently who lost a neighbor who worked with them for 26 years, and they lost their own parents. So the reason I'm saying this is that the fear doesn't always come from you and your family, but it could be those that you know as well. And generally, that has been there heightened sense that have been going around. But slowly, it's beginning to calm down as people begin to come to their senses, as we begin to approach the new normal. But still, there is a lot of issues that need to be worked
Mm-hmm. What kind of issues are those, do you think? What are the top two?
on. The top two, one of them is really trauma, and trauma with all the death that we see. I mean, we see death on the news, but never at this scale. Look at Brazil, for example. With, I mean, many countries, they begin to get a grip on it, but down there, the cases are going up like you've just started. And many kids, for example, seeing dead bodies on the street or seeing such stringent, desperate activity. So one of the things that you really have to address, even when this thing abates, is really helping a lot of the younger ones deal with trauma. And you have things like parents homeschooling children and all the conflicts and relationship conflict that festered already now being magnified, right? So these are two things that people who really, really need to address. I mean, in the US and other countries, the divorce rate is in most states over 60%, right? And my point is that such isolation typically magnifies such issues. And whether it's the family, whether it's the couple, whether it's the relationship, or just the individual, such tragedies really bring about so many inner issues and really force people to re-examine their lives. And even when we really come back to normal, these are things that people really need to get help with. We need to have some sort of counseling on a mass level. That's my opinion.
Excellent. That's an excellent point. Now, what are some of the lessons that you have for anyone that is struggling with that and trying to raise up out of that right now?
The first thing is that you need to understand your roles. And it is something that I say very often because you're more than just a parent. You're more than just an individual. You're a leader. So the first lesson is that you need to understand that you must be alive, well, strong for the various roles around you. People are watching you, just like how the church responds, for example. People are watching them. If you're in a leadership position, if it's your household, in a time of crisis, you're being looked upon as to how you would deal with this. Are you panicking? Most people would panic as well. In an organization, right when money is being cut short and really businesses are really restructuring their models, there is a lot of uncertainty as to jobs. And as a leader in an organization, for example, you need to recognize that you're more than just who you are. Yes, it's unprecedented. Yes, there's a lot of unpredictable things that happened. Who would ever know that would be in a time of ration toilet paper? It wasn't the case,
Right.
but it certainly was the case a couple of weeks back. So in times like these, the first lesson is that you need to understand your role, understand that no matter who you are, parent, religious leader, sibling, church leader, right?
Yeah.
Business owner, that you need to really own your role and see yourself as a leader, not just personally, but how you influence everyone around you, your team, your family, and community at large. So that's the first lesson. The
And
second
before
one,
before you get into the second one, I would just like to add on to that it is also so very important that we make sure that our own cups are full, so that we can give to others and to share with others, even if it's just within our home, with self care and taking care of those things that make us feel like we've got a foundation or some stability under us that helps us become, or rather be, that leader in uh, progressive, not that's not the word I'm looking for, but a positive way, right?
yes.
And so please
And
continue.
and I was about to segue into something relating, and the second one is that you need to ensure that you take the necessary time for renewal, and you need to see the current crisis as not something that happens to you, right? As much as we that may be obvious to some, but something that's happening for you, and begin to assess where you can grow, where you can become better, how you can become better, what your life direction is like. Okay, what changes do you have to make, right?
Right. Right.
And whether the direction that you're moving is the one that will get you towards the big goals that you have. Sometimes it takes a moment of crisis to really have you re-examine your life. Okay, just like people who have turning moments within their lives when they've hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Such a crisis is rock bottom, has been rock bottom for so many. Okay, and across industries, we could spend hours discussing this. So the second thing is to really see this particular time and re-examine your life direction and see it as something's happening for you, for your growth. It will make you better. There is a common saying that says, and we all know it, whatever doesn't kill you make you stronger.
That's true.
And it will make you stronger. And I know some people listening, watching may be going through discomfort and they may be unwell in many ways. However, you're still here, you're still surviving, right? And now you have a lot of lessons to teach. This has added to your layers as an individual. And to move forward properly, you need to view it that way and totally accept it. So these are just two other things that I would really impart on others to really take heed of.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. Now, why do you think that, corona quarantine aside, most
Mhm.
people are very unhappy with their lives? And what can they do to get out of that or shift that for themselves?
That's a good question because we can look at it from so many angles. And like you said, the quarantine aside, most people, the first thing that I really love to point out is that most people are living asleep, meaning they haven't had an event or events that force them to introspect at the level that I don't want to say they should because that's subjective, but that we all need to. And contrast this with the fast-paced technology, constant entertainment. Some cities never sleep, for example, and some people just caught up in the hustle and bustle of work, recreation, and I mean, a lot of that is good, but most people never take time to look within. So that, like I said, despite the crisis and it not all being good, one of the things that people could do is to take some more time and reflect, right? And whether you're spiritual or not is not the point. It's actually not a spiritual response. The point is that you need to, it gives you the opportunity for alone time away from all the fast paced living, right? And now to really slow, reflected, even if you had a slight deviation how you work. Some people, they didn't really stop working, they just work from home, and that's great. And really, that shift alone, along with everything, all the externalities, really puts things into perspective quickly. So the first thing I recommend people to do is one to actually slow down, right? And we have lives, we have responsibilities. That's obvious. I'm not stating the obvious here. Moreover, you have you, and that's the only thing that you will have. And the big question is always, are you living the life that you really want to live right now? And yes, we may not be able to have everything that we want immediately, but are you on that path? There is a book entitled The Five Regrets of Dying, and you may know it. And one of the core regrets in there is that most people don't have the courage to live the life that they're really wanting to live when their profile surveyed on the deathbeds. And really, it's a common thing, even among people who are very resourceful financially, right? And it's good to have money. I'm not implying that it's not, but it's not the be on everything, right? And you need to make sure, more importantly, but just as importantly, that not only that you're moving towards a life of immense financial abundance, but you also fulfill in the things that you're doing, why you're doing, and really just a general direction and the way that you just live your life. Because it doesn't make much sense to have a lot financially, but on the inside you're empty. Suicide rates are up.
Hmm.
They have been high for a while. Drug addiction, drug use. And while these may not always be mutually exclusive, my point is that having more all the time doesn't always mean that you're happier.
Right, right,
And what makes us all happy and fulfilled is different. You're different from I am, right?
right,
And
right.
so is everyone watching and listening to this. So we really have to find and keep in tune for what that is for us and make sure that we live our lives in according to this.
That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So, what can people start with today? Like, are there real quick things that they can do that they can start changing that, like right
Mhm,
this minute?
mhm. I have to. And as simple as they may sound, most people may not do them. You know, it sounds funny. Most people, for example, want answers, but a lot of times they don't take action on them. And sometimes they're just hard to do, and sometimes it's just uncomfortable for all of us, actually. And one of them is that take some time out and actually two things. One, take a break from technology. See what it's like to be off the internet for one day. That may sound simple, but I promise you, most people cannot do it.
I've noticed for myself in the past that it's almost become an unconscious, oh, I have nothing else occupying my mind. Here's my phone. Grab my phone, take a look, you know? And I've just checked it 30 seconds before. There's nothing new there, right? But yeah, for some of us, myself included, it's become kind of a knee jerk pacifier that we just grab. So yeah, it's not as easy. It's not as easy as you might think to go without it. But I have I have to say I've gone like camping where I've got no signal, and after 2 days of not being with that technology, with that vibration and frequency in my face all the time, it shifts things entirely, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And while some of us may have jobs, some of us may have things that directly involve our devices. The point is to, like you said, decondition the brain from the subconscious response of pulling for a phone, right? Rather than going within and trying to solve a problem, whether it's checking Google Maps or whether it's checking anything, but it's compulsively checking social media, right? And really, it's like we're tethered constantly, just like some people, they have the devices when they get up out of bed. It's there, it's ringing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm not talking about people who use it for an alarm, but the first thing after 2 or 3 days when you do this, your brain will slowly begin to reset, and slowly you begin to see your surroundings a little clearer. And you wonder why haven't you been seeing this way all along? But it's only then you could really begin to see, understand really how pulled in that you are. And the second reason is addiction, right? The second reason why the detox is good is addiction. Most of us are addicted and we don't know it. And I mean, that's sad, but it accounts for why productivity is at an all-time low. You know, productivity is at an all-time low, you know, and while with technology, with our devices, and with better app softwares being around,
Mm-hmm.
performance isn't up. And yes, some of it is due to automation and increased demands. However, as a collective species, as a workforce, as a labor force, our competence hasn't risen proportionally,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So one is to really get in touch with yourself again. And I keep mentioning this because it's important and simple, by the way, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And and it's not just a matter of cutting off the technology, let me say this. It's really a matter of introspection, journaling. Write down what's on your mind. Like I said a while ago, most people, they're so fast paced, they barely even have time to listen to what's in their head, right?
That is true. That is true.
And I understand some parents, single parents, families have to have long commutes for work, right? And there's barely any time. I understand some of it may be baked into the lifestyle, But really just that time and that to really just breathe, right? Really, really is rejuvenating. And that is something everyone should give themselves, especially in a crisis like this. And really, the best benefit, apart from the addiction, is just the time alone to really see the world for how you want to see it, not just for how it's fed to you. Because the last thing I would say on this is that what you do not realize is that social media, the internet even, shows us a reflection of the world that they want us to see. And many opinions, ways of living, pop culture is subconsciously fed to us. And some people may say that is how we get our style, our fashion, the like from, but your identity is slowly being stripped away. So this is not the internet, and really technology is not inherently bad. It's just how we use it and just the compulsion that it creates and just the addiction. And taking a step away from that allows us to identify who we are, our values, what we really want, and have some clarity as we move forward.
Excellent stuff. Excellent. So, um, what do you think the key things are that are holding people back from success? I mean, I think that actually, before I let you answer that, I just want to accentuate what you just said about it's not about eliminating technology. It's more about the fact that our lives are out of balance, and we have to consciously restore the balance of the inner life in order for us to enjoy the present around us. It's not just about what's out there and what other people are saying about that and what's my opinion about that and everything outside. We have to consciously restore that focus on within, so that when we reach out there, we don't fall over. If that makes sense, we've got no strength underneath us, no foundation underneath us, and we're just little pieces disintegrating into the ethers otherwise. So please go ahead and answer that question. What do you think are some of the key things that are holding people back from doing what would make them successful?
Now, first and foremost, success is the notion of success and what success looks like is different for everyone. So let me preface by saying this. However, most of us associate it with materialistic financial success, but that the scale to which we do that is different for everyone. Now, with that said, what holds most people back is really fear. You know, I mean, fear of the unknown. The unknown meaning what's next? What if I fail? Right? I mean, a good question is what prevents people from going all out, right?
Right.
And why? Because they're afraid that something may break, not literally, but something may go wrong, right? And it is this aversion to loss that we have that prevents people from actually going after what they want, even if they have the resources, even if they have the time, even if they have the money. I could mention a lot of others, but you've never felt, something just seems so easy, yet I just don't want to do it, right? And let me say, in addition, it's not just willpower. And that is what most people say. It is not just willpower, because our willpower, as we all know, comes, it goes. It's typically highest in the beginning of the day. And as the day goes on, it goes a little lower. We're more involved in the day. So we're more caught up in just all the demands that's placed on us. But the bigger issue, like I said, is not willpower. It's really whether we're living from who we want to be. And we're so focused in the past, why we cannot do something, why we cannot have something, why we cannot be a particular person, that we sabotage ourselves as to, and we refuse to ask the questions as to what it will take to get us there. What it will take for me to make this extra money? What it will take for me to, double my income by the end of the year? What it will take for me to grow my business by 20%, get better clients? What will it take instead of why can't I? It may sound simple, but just try changing the language. So part of it is self-talk, right? It's the fear, and that fear is created, accentuated by the continuous negative self-talk that we have, that we've been conditioned to by ourselves, by our environment. So first thing, one, fear and self-talk. The second thing, like I was just about to allude to, is the environment that we're in, right? I mean, most people don't, most people are in an environment where they're striving for something where their peers or those around them often don't have or want. And part of that is okay, but you have to realize that there is also a pull backwards. Most people don't want you to change. Most people do not want you to really level up, because as you begin to improve, they have to force themselves to change how they see you. Especially society now begins to beckon you so much praise. And it's not like you're doing for the adulation of others, but it's that you're just a different person. You're achieving different things, you go in different places, so life responds accordingly, and your circumstances change accordingly. And one area, if you would allow me, is in relationships actually,
Okay.
right? And some partners do hold each other back subconsciously. And it is something that we should be aware of. And as partners, right, you and your partner should really try to make sure that you allowing each other to grow. But outside of relationships, across the board, the environment physically, the people who are around you, the people that you spend the majority of your time with, friends, families, comrades, work colleagues, and also your digital consumption. So your physical and your digital environment. We spend so much time on social media, Facebook, Snapchat, all the other sites, TikTok, and it really influences us. We subscribe to so many email lists, and really we're subconsciously taking all that in. Even what we know, we still take it in. And all those things really influence us. And think of why most people believe what they believe. If you really drill down, it comes down to an influence. And yes, we all have people who we follow, but the point is, most of those beliefs, a lot of them, are not our own. And most of those things that we imbibe in slowly, right, were fed to us by someone else. And
Gotcha.
that may be serving us or otherwise. So generally, these are just two of the things that people can do in really attempting to change those. And sometimes the decisions may be hard. For example, your environment. Sometimes you may have to make certain changes. Maybe certain people may have to go, or you just spend less time with them, right? I never said that they will be easy. Sometimes it could just be simple as changing the road that you take to work, changing the people that you hang out with. So one environment, and digital environment, especially what you take in, whether it's the news, whether it's social media, whether it's the news feed, for example, whether it's emails and just subscriptions and agendas. And I mean, we all get emails, but my point is a lot of things that have been pushed onto us that don't interest or benefit us at all.
Well, I
So,
think I think in addition to that, to add on to that and
mhm,
back that up a bit, last week I unfriended and blocked two people out of my Facebook feed, and then the tone of my feed changed noticeably, right? Just from shutting off those two people who had a particular mindset about their posts, right, and getting them
mhm,
out of my feed made way for a rebalancing of more positive things showing up to
yeah.
me. So yeah, like you said, and I recall back to remember a couple of years ago when that airplane went missing, MH370, and for literally for weeks that was all they covered on CNN, right? Well, I had Sirius XM radio and an hour and a half commute, and I would listen to it constantly all the way to work and all the way home. And after a couple of weeks, my husband was like, "What is going on with you? You're so scared and angry lately. This is not you." And I had to take a look at the fact that I was ingesting 3 hours of, oh my gosh, this thing just disappeared off the planet into thin air. We have no idea where it's at. We have no idea what happened. All this speculation, all this, do you dare get on a plane anymore? Are the pilots suicidal? I mean, all of this stuff that just throws you into fear. So, agreed. Take a look at even just one of your social media channels. take a look at whatever email lists that you're subscribing to. Is this
Yep.
feeding you or is this feeding on you?
Yeah.
Right? Awesome.
I like
Now,
that.
I'd like to have you tell us a little bit about this wonderful offer that you're offering to our audience today. We have the Bounce Back Fast free course series that you've decided to offer to our people, and also the free breakthrough call. So tell us a little about the call first.
Well, first of all, the breakthrough call is a half-an-hour session where whoever's interested on the line, really we work together to get clarity on your life and where is it that you want to go and what's holding you back. Because yes, we have dreams, so we have aspirations, and that's beautiful. But we all have something that's holding us back. Because the next question always becomes, why haven't you done it? And some people take it differently. Some people feel attacked. But really, it's a question that speaks to not just now, but the past. So generally, I help whoever I'm working with at the time get clear as to the things that are holding them back. And a lot of that is unconscious. And help them over that duration. Sometimes it actually goes longer. Slowly envision and design the next best step. And I repeat, the next best step. There are many things you could do next, and there are many things that are possible, but is it best for you?
Right.
Okay. And generally on this call, that is what we really come up with. And if it makes sense for us to do any work after this more, we do. If not, that's okay. But you walk away with a much clearer understanding of where you at. What is it that you really want? I mentioned technology, I mentioned all the distractions that just pour into us, like you said. And really getting a chance to think on your 2 feet away from that for a little bit. And that could really be shocking for most people. But I mean, you could check the page, or whoever listening could check the page, the testimonials don't lie. People really get shaken when they have such a call with me, and it's really impactful for them. And I'm really proud for them because we all need such a wake-up call. So generally, that is what the call is. And for people who are really serious, people who really just want to learn more, people who really just want more for themselves, and they just want better than they have right now. And no matter where you are, who you are, what your past look like, that is something that I offer to them. So that's one, that's the breakthrough call. And you mentioned the Bounce Back Fast Free program. Seeing all what went on with this crisis and seeing all the hysteria that we have, I decided to do something a little different. Now, I do have a flagship program. It's called Life Awakening System. However, I wanted to give some people some things up front. Now, people could still check that out, but the Bounce Back Fast program was a program that helps an individual where they are right now, of all the uncertainty, all the trouble. People may be going through lots of destabilization right now financially. The welfare numbers are going up, the jobless numbers are going up in the US, for example, and that's a reality for most people. And in terms of productivity, in terms of emotional wellness, this mini series helps people come out of that. And it is one thing that I give in there to really help people get stability again. So essentially, that's what it is, and it's free right now. And really, it's really to help people who want to move forward. And we all need some help in some form. And it's really something that I really took it upon myself to do for others. So that's what it is in a nutshell.
Beautiful, beautiful. For those of you still watching, that Bounce Back Fast free course series can be received through Craige Hardel. There is an E on the end of what Americans normally look at as Craig. So it's CraigeHardel.com/bounce-back-fast. And I highly encourage that you go there, take a look around the whole site, but definitely take advantage of this free course because it was specifically designed for dealing with the stresses that are involved with the quarantine. And that's what we're about here with the Corona Spotlight, is exposing you to people who have tools and resources to help you through this chaotic and confusing time. Craige, thank you so much for being one of those people that are helping people through this chaotic and confusing time. I really appreciate your time today.
You're most welcome. And let me just add, for those of you who have difficulty with the URL, I've actually made it easier. And to get this course, the call, and also I have another question resource. I have an even shorter URL, so it's CraigeHardel.com. You might have it in the show notes or links afterwards. /Corona Summit.
Yes.
So again, to be Craige Hardel /Corona Summit. And on there, you simply see all of the items listed. You enter your email, and they all will be mailed to you. So that's just an easier way to, instead of having to remember the URLs.
Beautiful.
So,
and we'll make sure that those are in the comments as well to make it very simple for our audience. Do you have final thoughts for our audience today, Craige?
Yes, I do. And the hour seems like it went by pretty quickly. But one thing I always say, and I want to say to this audience, is that two things. One, don't just listen to the session and move on and do nothing. Do one thing. Of course, this is life, you can come back. But even if you don't, do one thing. And second, the resources are free. Please make use of them. And many people love to wait by the wayside, hesitate, not even bet on themselves. And I'm asking you to bet on you. Do one thing. Even if people told you that you couldn't do, even if you had a tumultuous past, we all do. Even people who seem to have it all together. The message here is that you're enough. And no matter what the past look like, you can have more. You can have what you want. And I want to empower you in one way or the other to actually move forward and begin. So again, it's been a pleasure to be here. I'm really thankful for the opportunity to serve, to help, whatever way that I can. I look forward to speaking and perhaps working with anyone who really is that interested. But no matter what, please do something.
Awesome. Thank you again, Craige. You have a wonderful day.
Most welcome.
Thank you, Facebook. Take care, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye.
Bye.
When you actual energy work makes that recovery progress so much faster. That recovery is possible. You do not have to live as a victim until your last days. You have unbelievable strength, and I know that because you're still here. Do you want to create something completely unrecognizable with your life? I can show you how.